What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to iStuff Gaming, and today I'm going to be giving my final thoughts on Tsukuyomi. Now, before I get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to keep up with any future content. I'll be leaving both of my links to my Twitch and my Discord in the description below. Now, this character is OP. There's no other way to put it. However, I don't think he's broken, because broken would imply that he has no counterplay, and that's simply not true. He does have a little bit of counterplay. It's just not very huge. I'm going to be going over that in just a moment. However, I do agree that this character does need to see some changes, and I do think that this character needs some nerfs. And he has three big reasons why this character is absolutely ridiculous, and we're going to be going over them in order from 3 to 1. Now let's go ahead and get to number 3. So, at number 3, the reason why this character is ridiculous is his second ability. Now, for me, the current meta is leaning more towards a basic attack oriented game, i.e. with the magical ADCs and the hunters and how strong they become and how strong Bellona and all those other characters have become, Bakasura. And the fact that this character has a 2.5 second disarm is crazy. And that's not even the half of it. He also has a stun on this ability, and then each hit does 135, and then the final hit does 290. That is a lot of damage. And the fact that it stuns for 1.4 seconds, that gives him so much time to set up his call traps, which, even though the damage isn't ridiculous, it's a 25% slow with tick damage every single time you move. So that's the reason why this second ability is really strong for me. So at number 2, why this character is ridiculous, this first ability. Now, the ability on this damage isn't what's crazy, even though it does do quite a bit. It's the passive on the ability. Whenever you're close enough, it reduces the cooldown on this move by 4 seconds. And this ability is already on a 10-second cooldown without cooldowns. So, let me go ahead and show you something. Let's say you're building full damage, right? You have Transcendence. You might have a Hydras. And you might have a Heartseeker, right? Just those 3. Right? Just those 3 items gives you 30% cooldowns, I believe. Because this gives 10, this gives 10, and this gives 10. Actually, no, this doesn't give anything, but this gives 10 and this gives 10, right? That's only 20%. Now, this move is on an 8-second cooldown. And then finally, you're probably going to slap on an Erendite, which is another 10, right? So now this ability is on a 7-second cooldown. You hit this, you walk up, now it's on a 1-second cooldown. You hit it again, 2-second cooldown, and you're still on their ass, right? Hit it again, 2-second cooldown. This ability's damage adds up so much, and it's a little ridiculous that he has something like this, right? And it just and then the fact that he'll keep stealing your movement speed, so you're not gonna be able to get away from him with this with his ability, just because this ability gives ranged basics. So he's gonna keep hitting you, and he's gonna catch up to you, and this is so that's the number 2 reason. But the number 1 reason is a little bit more ridiculous. So, the final and number 1 reason why I think this character is ridiculous is his passive. And originally, I thought his passive wasn't that strong until I realized that his passive isn't scaled off of his levels. It's scaled off his items. Sorry, it's scaled off his items. Let me go ahead and show you. So, it gets 2 bonus damage whenever you get 2 basic attacks, right? That's basically what it is. You get an extra 2 damage, right? Which early, it isn't a lot. It really isn't. However, it's scaled off of your items. Check this out. If you have these 3 items on, right? Actually, you know what? No, let's not even say that. Let's just say you have a Transcendence, right? Which gives 35 physical power, plus it converts your mana to damage. Right? That will go towards your bonus damage. So, look, you get an extra 10 damage, 10.67 damage, just from an unstacked Transcendence. Now, if we stack it, it jumps to 14. So now all you have to do is just put more items with mana behind it. So you throw on a Heart Seeker, right? You're probably going to be throwing on a little bit more cooldowns than what I originally had. So you're probably going to throw on a Yuttons. You have an Erendite, you got Crusher, right? And then what's one more mana item that you're more than likely to get to be building? Now for me, I like building Sludge in this character because he doesn't have a run move. I'll get to why that's really important in a second, right? So now it jumps to 53.80 bonus damage just for hitting 2 basics. That's it. 2 basics. Now you get that bonus 2 plus an extra 53. That is a lot of damage. And now let's say you don't even want the sledge. You just want more power, right? And get a health shield when you kill somebody. It jumps to 58. So now you get an extra 60 power just for hitting somebody twice. And that's just off of this basic here and the basic off of this, which then goes towards your ult. That's really, really strong. And that extra power goes a really, really long way. And that's what makes his character hit so belligerently hard. Which honestly brings me to my next segment. What needs to be changed about this character? So, first things first. This needs to be changed. Kusarigama. It does not need the disarm. Right? It already has a stun. It already has a save movement. And you can't push him away from you. This needs to be changed. It does not need a disarm. Right? And on top of it, either doesn't need the disarm or it doesn't need to do as much damage as it does. So check this out. Look how much damage this does just by itself. Half your health by itself. Completely by itself. That needs to be changed. The next thing that needs to be changed. The cooldown reduction on this ability. And look at that, look at that. I put a little bit more cooldowns on, and now it's down to a 6-second cooldown, and then if you get close to them, it reduces it down to 2 seconds. Yeah, that 100% needs to be changed. Right? That should not be a thing. And look how much damage this will do, just stacking it. By just basic. You're dead. Just off of one ability. I didn't even throw the other abilities yet. Just this ability here. That needs to be changed. Up next is passive. It needs to be changed. It needs to be scaled off of your levels and not off of your items. And it needs to be reduced by a lot. 10 extra damage per level, that's not too bad. No, not 10 damage. An extra 2 damage per level, what? That's 40 plus damage. Even though that's still a lot, it's not as much as 58. It needs to be changed. It needs to scale off of his level, not off of his items. Even though I don't think his caltrops are too annoying, I do think that it just needs to be changed to straight tick damage. It should do a burst amount during the hit, and then just do tick damage the longer they stand in it. Right? It shouldn't hit you the more you walk in it. Right? Because that's just ridiculous. Because then it just keeps reapplying that slow. And that could be, honestly, really, really daunting to deal with. Another thing about the caltrops, the true damage. Look how much true damage you get off of this little basic. Just this little basic. Look, watch this. That needs to be changed. That's too much. Now, the last thing that I think that needs to be changed is how his ult works, right? So if he hits you with this and he starts dashing at you, if you're in the air, i.e. on her jump, his backflip, anything that makes you get off the ground, he shouldn't track you. That's just kind of stupid. Like no one else has an ultimate like that. On top of the fact that this does so much damage during the dashes, that's a little bit overbearing. That needs to be changed, right? I don't know if they meant to design it like that, but no one should have a guaranteeing hitting ult that you can't jump out of, right? I think that needs to be changed. Now, those are the reasons why I think Tsukuyomi is OP and what I think needs to be changed about the character. But there are 2 reasons why I don't think this character is broke. And even though they're really minor reasons and his pros way outweigh the cons, there are 2 reasons why this character isn't broke. Number 1, he has no run move. He is a very all-in character. Now, while that's not inherently bad, The second reason is the second reason is why that is kind of an issue for this character. But I'll go ahead and talk about his lack of running, right? So yes, he has this, and he has pretty decent mobility after this. He gets this little bit of movement speed, and he has this slow. He has all the tools he needs to make sure you can't get away from him. The problem is that if you're not scared of him, you can turn around and fight him back. And then if he takes too much damage, he has no way to get away from you. That's the first issue, right? And the reason why that's so bad is because is because of the second reason why he's not broke. It's the CC susceptibility. He can be stunned and mezzed and rooted and all this other stuff out of a lot of his damage, right? For starters, his second ability. And now this is probably his hardest hitting move. That's definitely his hardest hitting move, right? The issue is that during the channeling of this move, he can get stunned out of that. So he can lose some damage and then become a sitting duck and have nothing to show for it. Now, the next thing is in his ultimate. Now, yes, this move does a lot of damage, and I don't care if it's nerfed. I don't care, or I don't want to see the damage nerfed on this ultimate. It is for a very big reason. So, this description kind of lies to you. It doesn't tell you something very, very important. He's only CC immune while he's firing the beams of moonlight. When he's dashing, he can get stunned. I wish I could show you that in action right now. However, it's very, very obvious that that's the case, because I've been CC'd out of this ultimate plenty of times. You actually cannot CC him out of this ult. I mean, you actually can be CC'd out of the dashes of his ult. Let me go ahead and show you. So if you ult, you can get CC'd right here. And if you get CC'd, you are now stuck between 2 to 5 people with no run move and no way to get out. So he has to be slightly calculated when he uses his ult, but only very slightly. So those are all my final thoughts on this character. Now, I definitely think this character is OP. He can be run in too many lanes. He can be run in the jungle. He can be run in the solo lane. Honestly, he can be a mid laner. He can be a not solo laner. He can be a carry because of his ranged basics. And those are all really, really strong for him. But he does have his counterplay. I will be making a video in the future about all the characters I think that can counter this character and how to fully counter this character as well. If you like the video, you have any questions, or you would like to debate me about some of the few points that I've made, I don't mind. Go ahead and leave it in the comment section, and I'll get to it as soon as possible. Without further ado, I'll catch y'all later.